Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So waiting for a few more people to join us. It's good to see so many providers on the call this afternoon. It really tells me that you all are so very engaged in the transition to pathways and partnering with our managed care entities to continue delivering services. My name is Darcy Tower, and I am
She started already?
Oh, I'm sorry? Sure. And I am the Director of Provider Experience with the Office of Medicaid. And I am joined today by my wonderful colleagues who I will ask to introduce themselves. So my colleague, Kimberly Bremer, who will be presenting with me today. Kim, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
I hate Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay, sorry, I can't hear everybody. Hi.
No, you're good.
I'm the new Director of Pathways and HCC at OMP and FSSA.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. And we are also joined by our partners at Advancing States and our managed care entities. And we will have them introduce themselves just a little bit more into the presentation. But I will go ahead and ask if we could move to the next slide. All right, so we know that many of you are in the process of connecting with the managed care entities, whether you as a provider are taking the initiative to reach out to the MCEs, or you may have the MCEs reaching out to you. If you have not received a call from MCEs, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your contact information, your email, your phone number, address are all updated with the Division of Aging. So if you've changed your contact information since you became a waiver provider and you didn't let the Division of Aging know, then the MCEs will only have a file with your old contact information. So please make sure to do that so they can reach out to you. In the upcoming months, we will continue providing information through webinars and office hours to help you prepare for the transition into Pathways. And since many of you are already in the contracting process right now, we wanted to share some additional information specifically related to contracting. So we did ask our MCE partners to join us to share information and screenshots from their individual provider portals. We want you to feel very comfortable with the documents that you submit to become enrolled with the MCE, documents that you are very familiar with today because you submitted some of these through your Division of Aging application. We also want you to see, what the portal looks like, how you need to navigate it to submit that application. And we want to make sure that everyone has contact information for each of our managed care entities, that you're able to put a name with a face today so that you feel comfortable reaching out to them. And then at the end of today's call, we are going to answer the questions that we received from several of you, specifically related to the contracting process. And so we can go ahead, move to the next slide, and I am going to share the screen with Kim Brenner, who is going to talk to you about the Pathways program. Oh, Kim, we actually are having a tough time hearing you. I know, technology.
Oh, it's killing me here.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, so we're good now?
Yes.
Just want to make sure. Sorry, I was having awful technology today.
No,
So
I know.
I am here just to kind of give you an overview of Pathways, and then we will turn it over to the MCEs to give more details. But just to make sure you're aware, the Indiana Pathways for Aging is a program here to offer more choices for home and community-based setting, in addition to the nursing home facility services that we provide. Pathways has chosen 3 MCEs that will be able to provide coverage: Anthem, Humana, and United Healthcare. Each of these MCEs are providing the same Medicaid health coverage, medical expenses as each other. Doctor's visits, hospital care, therapy, medications, prescriptions, medical equipment, it will be the same. They also will all 3 provide the care coordination assistance and to coordinate benefits and medical needs. It's the same across the board. They do offer some different special added on benefits, so they could have some different enhanced business benefits, such as gym memberships, some gift cards, groceries, other kind of things. And those are going to be determined by the health plans from that standpoint. The next slide. So in talking about what is Indiana Pathways for Aging, what this is it is a program that will cover Hoosiers that are 60 plus and above that are eligible for Medicaid based on their age, disability, blindness, will be covered underneath the new Pathways program. Some have already been in a managed care setting, so they may have been individuals 60 or older in Hoosier Care Connect. But most of them are going to be transitioned from the traditional fee-for-service program. So 60% of these or 40% are currently in a nursing facility or on an A&D waiver. And half of these Hoosiers over 59 are Medicare eligible as well. The next slide. So what we want to make sure you understand is each waiver provider will have the opportunity to join the MCE network. These are open contract processes, and we'll go into more depth. Just so you're aware that the MCEs are required to contract with all willing providers for the next 3 years. So they won't be excluding any provider who is willing to provide home and community-based services. Next slide, and I'll go back to Darcy.
Oh, sorry, here we go. All right. Thank you, Kim. So we know that within, right, each managed care entity, there is a department that works providers on the contracting, and with Gainwell, you will have a similar process within each MCE, right? Only this time there's a lot less paperwork for our HCBS providers. Wanting to let you know that MCEs, right, may have different names for these departments. So some MCEs may have you work with their what they will call their provider network management division on enrollment and contracting, but you may have another MCE that connects you with their provider relations department. So even though MCEs may have different department names, they're all doing the same thing, which is supporting our HCBS providers during the contracting process to help them get enrolled. FSSA also required each MCE to have a designated staff person who is dedicated to serving providers who deliver long-term services and supports, which means they are familiar with the services home and community-based service providers deliver, as well as those that nursing facilities deliver. FSSA really wanted to ensure that the contracts MCEs share with providers meet FSSA's program requirements. So FSSA has had internal staff review those contracts before they go out to providers, make any corrections to make sure they are in alignment with our program goals. So, for example, if a hospital, right, enters into a contract with an MCE, it won't be the same type of contract, right, that an HCBS provider enters into, because you're delivering two very different services, right? That hospital is very clinical, delivering clinical care, and our HCBS providers are delivering waiver services. Next slide. All right, so this slide provides MCE staff names and contact information for HCBS providers to connect with for that contracting process. So I will go ahead and have our MCE partners introduce themselves. And if you could share maybe a little bit about how you've been working with HCBS providers during this contracting process. So at Anthem, I think I see Al on the call.
That is correct, Darcy. I am here.
Hi, Al.
Hello. So I think what we'll do is we have all the MCEs. We have different sections, and we'll go, I think, Anthem, Humana, and United, and kind of go through our slides. I think that's going to be okay.
Sure. Yeah, so before we go forward with the slides, would you be able to introduce yourself to the providers and just tell them, a little bit about how you've been working to support HCBS providers, just so, right, they are familiar with who you are before we get into your slides.
Excellent. So we'll do the three intros first and then go through the slides, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I'm Al Bracken. Thanks, Darcy. I am the director of the Network Provider Relations for LTSS. And so far, what we've been doing outside of building our team, we've been building a digital provider enrollment process and for all of you guys to make it your registration much easier when we get started. We're doing a soft enrollment now, a soft launch over the last month or so. But in lieu of getting that started, we've already started the outreach, north, south, east, and west, where we're working and doing regional office hours. And we've started doing the webinars as well. But in our regional office hours, most of them have been in Marion County. And I'm sure there are several providers on the line now that have attended one of our workshops, listening sessions, etc. And we're taking that information and bringing it back and altering a few things and trying to be agile. Well, we are agile and to answer some of the issues and be responsive to our providers. So, and we'll go into that a little bit more later on in the slide presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Al. We're glad you're here. And I will go ahead and ask Humana. I'm not sure, Denise, I think I saw you on the call. I'm not sure if Terry is here also. I know her contact info is on the slide, but Denise, if you would like to introduce yourself too.
Yeah, and Terry, he is on the line, but good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dorsey. My name is Denise Watson. I am the director for the provider engagement team. And just so you know, over the past few months, Humana has been hosting what we call informal meet and greet sessions with the HCBS community. And during those sessions, we have identified providers that had not received their contracting information or that wanted to become a part of the Humana, become a part of Humana. And so we were able to provide that information. As mentioned earlier, we will go through the process of, what that joining of the network looks like on the Humana side. Here on the slide under Humana, and I did mention his name, Terry King, and again, he is on the line. I'm not sure if he can come off mute to say hello, but Terry King is our director for the HCBS provider contracting team. And so, I'll just say this now, if you have not received an invite for the informal meet and greet, and or if you have not received a contract from Humana, then please take the time out now while this information is on the screen. And I'll just speak on behalf of all of the three of us to jot this information down because this is how you can start that process of joining the network. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. This is Terry. I appreciate you doing an intro for us, but everything Denise and Al have mentioned is exactly what we're doing here at Humana. So my intro will be brief. I'm the director of LTSS contracting for HCBS, and I look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you both. Good to have you here. And last but not least, United Healthcare. I think we're going to hear from David.
Thank you, Darcy. Yes, my name is David Hoover. I'm a manager of provider services for United Healthcare and our community plan. And so I want to thank everybody for joining and allowing us to be here as well. So as far as some of our processes, my hope is that everybody on this call has already received a letter from us regarding how to get the process moving forward for contracting. But as already mentioned, please take the information down on the screen and we'll provide it and touch base on it a few other times throughout, just to make sure we don't miss any possible provider. We want to make sure we get everybody contracted, answer any questions that you have. But we have been going through the process of contracting. So if you've already reached out to us, I know we've already sent out a lot of contracts. We've got several applications in process right now. So everything is moving right along, but please do take our information. But I do want to just quickly, so Amanda Wilson, if you have not had a chance to work with her, talk with her, she is my director. She is not able to just jump on today. So she does apologize for not being able to make it in, but she looks forward, as we all do, to working closely with each of you providers to roll out this program for the managed care groups. And so I will leave it at that and look forward to being able to dive in on detail soon.
Perfect. Thank you. So hopefully, for all the providers on this call, this is helpful to put names and faces together as you continue to connect with our managed care entities. And now I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next slide, and I will turn it back over to Kim.
Kim, you're on mute.
Technology issues here. Just as a side note, we wanted to start by kind of giving you an overview of some of the key documents that you will need to be prepared for. I'm sure that MCEs will give you more details as you get those contracts, but just so that everybody can start organizing and getting some documents. You will need to be able to provide for all of the MCEs at least your W-9, a copy of your Division of Aging waiver certificate, as well as a copy of your license, if applicable. Some MCEs may ask for more information or more documentation, and you will find that on their application, and they'll allude to that later. Some of the things that they may ask you to provide as well is your proof of EIN, proof of your business entity, a certificate of insurance, or other documents that they have internally deemed necessary for the contracting process. And on that note, we're going to go and pass it back over to the MCEs to have them go through their slides and detail out how the process is for each of their entities to be able to help you become those providers.
All right. Thank you, Kimberly. I'll get us back started with Anthem. Next slide, please. Let's start off looking at our provider portals. Anthem and Humana both use Availity, and United has their own proprietary system. Most of the functions for all three systems are very similar. Whether it's Availity or through United's portal, you can view service authorizations, do claim submissions, remittance advice download, provider profile management, and the ability to communicate with the MCs directly. And you can also look up your members as assigned. Next slide. Remember again, Availity, the registration for Availity is mostly used for Humana and Anthem, and United has a separate system. The Availity Essentials offers a secure access to manage daily transactions with the payers. Availity Essentials does not require special software and is accessible with high-speed internet using Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Firefox browsers. Some of the features of Availity include electronic transactions, which provides a secure platform where providers can perform eligibility and benefit inquiries, check claim status, and track remittance. It's a multi-payer portal that ensures a consistent workflow for all participating health plans, allowing providers the same user experience. Through this multi-payer portal, providers can access Anthem's Care Central application, the one-stop shop for LTS providers. So what's needed to get started with Availity? Before you go to Availity, or when you go to Availity, you're going to need an email address, an NPI number if available, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, the name and address of your organization, and the primary taxonomy code. Next slide, please. Providers brought to the Get Started page can select create an account. It talks about an atypical provider here. So what is an atypical provider? I got a funny feeling that most of the providers on the line today are going to be considered atypical providers. Atypical provider is one who does not provide medical services, not eligible to receive an NPI, and as I said before, HCS providers, as well as case management and emergency transportation services. Next slide, please. Providers can complete all the fields listed and select continue. A note here is that the person registering for the organization automatically becomes the admin for the organization. So when you're creating an account, you're creating your first account under one admin person and one tax ID number. And we have emphasized on all of our correspondence so far, along with Humana, that Availity is absolutely essential to get the process started. Next slide, please. Okay, so providers can check their email and select confirm or log in to verify their email address and log into the Availity portal. So all through the registration process, you can check to make sure you're going in the right direction and confirm all the information. It's actually a very simple process. And I will say that any issues that you're having or that you have had or that you will have, we're going to have a lot of contact information throughout this presentation for all three MCEs. And for Anthem in particular, we have several different individuals that you can call if at any point in time we can share screens and walk you through this process. Next slide, please. Organization setup. So what this screen tells you, it gives you the indication of what organization that you are typically going to fall under. And this one is a need a registration for a new organization and will be the primary administrator. Now, Darcy, will these slides go out to everyone?
Yep, recorded and going on our Indiana Pathways website.
Perfect, perfect. So, so those of you who have your phones out doing the screenshots, you can stop right now because you're going to get a copy of all of this. I can see it as we speak. Next slide, please. Providers are brought to the Management Organization page and should select Register an Organization. Again, this is going step by step with everything that you're going to need to register for Availity. Next slide, please. Okay. Hold on one second. We're talking about the atypical provider here again. So the home and community-based providers are considered atypical providers. And as we stated before, that this gives you a list of what's considered an atypical provider. And once you select that this organization does not have an MPI, don't panic. You'll be able to get through using an LPI or another designation. So you do not have to have an MPI. But I will stress that in registering for Availity, you will need a tax ID number. Next slide, please. Okay. Once you're registered for Availity, providers can log into the portal to select payer spaces. And in that, and this is where we differ just a little bit from Humana, and Humana will go through that. Then once you hit selected, the Anthem logo, then you will have the application to begin your provider enrollment. Next slide, please. All right, so how do you contract with Anthem? Here's the note. Anthem has, with the new digital provider enrollment tool, and I mentioned that a little earlier, the tool was activated almost a month ago. There are several providers on the line now that have participated in what we call a soft launch. We are currently working out a few minor glitches to make it a very easy application process. We're in the process of emailing all providers at various stages. If you have not been contacted by 30 January 2024, feel free to contact me personally. Yeah, I said it personally, or any of the contact information provided during this presentation. So in that, our application process and contracting process, the goal is by the end of the year, 2023, really, to have it smoothed out and have that contract process in place and the application process in place. And we've had approximately 50 providers that have gone through it, and they have given us feedback on the system. So we've made some adjustments. And again, I'll emphasize, we're going to start sending out emails, more emails in large increments. And if you have not, by the latter part of January, been contacted, feel free to contact us at that point, and or feel free to contact us at any time if you have any questions about Availity or anything else, whether you have contracting questions or not. Feel free to give us a call or email at any point in time. Next slide, please. This is the provider enrollment dashboard, where you'll be, at this point, you'll be able to select begin the new application. And there's just a couple of things that I want to point out, because the new application, the application process is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to also select who the primary administrator is going to be, and through that process. And you're also going to let us know that what your waivers per county will be, et cetera, et cetera. Next slide, please. All right, so Anthem's digital process enrollment, some of the just helpful reminders. You're going to choose the LTS long-term care services when you go through the process. And something that's not here is when you get to the point where they ask for your type of agency, mark solo. That's not indicated here, but everybody on here, if you go to this site and you get to this point, the step after this, you're going to want to mark solo as the type of agency that's being enrolled. Again, we repeat what information we're going to need uploaded before you get to the site or while you're in the process: our current W-9, a copy of the division of aging certificate, and any license you may have. If you're assisted living or adult day, whatever license that's going to be applicable is going to have to be downloaded here. And the format for downloading is going to be listed with the inside the application process. Next slide, please. Okay, here's our go live support, but a lot of this we're currently doing right now. So we're not waiting on go live. Most of it we've already started when it comes to the office hours, webinars, and the dedicated provider relations representatives. We have as we speak 6 dedicated provider relations representatives specializing in general provider relations, workforce development, our network education, and contracting. So we have ongoing office hours, in person and virtual. Many of you, like I said before, you've already attended a lot of the office hours that we've had in Marion County, Johnson County, and Hamilton County. We also have, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, office hours regionally scheduled in Gary, Evansville, and Fort Wayne. So feel free to contact us with any requests for us to come out to do listening sessions, whatever your trepidations may be. When we come out, we go over Pathways 101, and we go over Anthem's contracting system to make you feel more at ease about this transition. Next slide, please. Here is the important contact information for our team. My information is at the top. Our state for Anthem is divided in 3 sections: North, South, and Central. We have dedicated, as I said before, workforce development administrator. And that's not something that we're going to heavily go into today, but our workforce development initiative with all 3 of the managed care companies has been quite considerable. And you're going to hear a lot more about that on some of the activities that we're going to be doing to help you maintain and enhance your workforce development, your workforces. Ryan Fennessy is our provider training specialist. April Walton is, we had her name there earlier, is our contracting specialist. So you guys are going to get these get this contact information. Our website has just a huge amount of resources on it. My number is on here, my email, and like I said before, feel free to contact me personally to schedule these regionals or schedule these listening sessions. And we like to get in all parts of the state. Madison, the region, like I said, Southern Indiana, Jeffersonville. So if you have, and I know we've got a ton of providers on here. If you have clusters of your provider friends, invite us and we'll be out there. Not only Anthem, we are scheduling with Humana and United contracting and onboarding and training joint presentations in some of the same areas. So look for that coming real soon. With that, I think I will turn it over to my colleague from Humana, Denise. Take it away, Denise.
Thank you, Al. So again, good afternoon, everyone. As Al said, with Ability, we do have some commonalities with Ability as far as being able to submit a claim. I'll talk more about that. But in regards to the Join Our Network process, as I said earlier, this is the important slide, and Terry, keep me honest. So this is the important slide. What's also shown on this slide is what to expect after you send that email. So for those providers that have not received a contract from Humana, please send an email to ltsscontracting@humana.com. Again, that's ltsscontracting@humana.com. Next slide, please. And I know this is a little small, so forgive me, but what happens is after you send that email, then you will receive an email confirmation, basically indicating that your email was received. And also included in that email will be a link to where you would start that application process, where you would fill out the download and complete the provider assessment form. Terry, have I forgotten anything yet?
Nope, that is it.
All right, next slide. All right. And so when you receive that email with the link, when you click on the link, this is what you'll see, where you'll have to enter some information. As Al mentioned earlier, the NPI is not required. However, if you have one, feel free to include it. Towards the bottom of the screen, you'll see where you would download the provider assessment form. So this is where you would need to download that form, complete that information, and then attach the form back to this form here. In addition to that, we have highlighted the information that is required to start that certification process. And then you would hit save and close, and we'll receive that form. Next slide. And then you'll receive this confirmation number with your unique provider identifier number. This number, and as we will all say the same thing, but this number, we will all provide this number, and it's important. This number can be used when you're wanting to follow up on the status of your application. So when you email or when you contact your dedicated HCBS provider contracting person, you can reference this unique identifier, and we're able to check your status immediately. Next slide. Also, if we, after receiving your information, if it's determined that the assessment form is incomplete, meaning that there was a field on the form that was not completed, or if there's some information, required information that was not attached, you will receive this email as well. And then you're able to contact, your contract person to determine next steps. Next slide. So here's where I'm just going to provide just a quick overview of the claim submission process and Ability. Let me say this later on in the year. So this year is almost over. So let me say later on in 2024. So around in the Q1, Q2, we will have webinars to where you will be able to join, and we will walk through how to submit a claim in Availity as an HCBS provider. And just so you know, this will be offered as a webinar and or in person. We'll also offer this once we, and when I say we, I'm talking about the 3 MCEs, once we all come together and provide those different provider open houses in different parts of Indiana, we'll also touch on this as well. So again, this is just a quick highlight of how you can submit a claim through Availity. The key thing is once you get into, after you register for Availity and once you get into Availity, when you click on Payer Spaces, you're going to see Anthem, but you will also see Humana, and this is where you would need to click on Humana. And then again, as you see on the screen, you just click on Claims and Payment, Claims Encounters. And this, again, you'll get this, but then you'll see how you click on Humana and then select Primary for the sequence. Okay, next slide. And again, I know I might be talking a little fast, but I want to give you these highlights, but then again, let you know we will be sending out meeting invites. We are once our this information will be stored on our provider website. Our provider website is currently under construction, but it is coming soon. And so you will be informed on how to join these different webinars and participate in the in-person town halls or seminars, to where we will go through this in more detail. So as you can see here, you are able to pull up the member roster information, select the member. So this information will be pre-populated for you to kind of ease the burden of when submitting this claim through Availity. Next slide. And so this just kind of highlights what that auto population looks like once you identify whom the member is that you're submitting a claim for. Okay, next slide. And again, it's just some optional information that will follow after that the auto population has occurred with the member and provider information. Next slide. And then there's more details here. It highlights the date of service, as well as entering the diagnosis. And then this is where you would enter the units and the charge, the bill charge. Next slide. And again, some additional information. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. We will offer this in more detail. It's a dedicated webinar, either virtual and or in person, to kind of walk you through step by step how to submit a claim. Next slide. And so just so you know, this is just a highlight of the provider education and outreach that will take place with Humana. You will have a dedicated HCBS provider specialist. We are having weekly, monthly, quarterly provider educations and trainings. And then, as Al said earlier, we will have that MCE collaboration where the MCEs will come together as one to provide this education as a one-stop shop, so you're not hopping from one MCE to another. Next slide. And then finally, this is our contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. My name is Denise Watson, with any questions or concerns. And for those that have, again, I mentioned the informal meet and greets that we held, over the past few months. If you have any general questions or concerns, please feel free, again, to reach us at that Indiana Medicaid Provider Relations at humana.com. All right, I think that's it for me. I'm going to hand it over to David from UHC.
Thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. And I just want to make sure I do keep an eye on time so we can have some time for question and answer. So if I go through kind of quick, we will make sure you have contact information so you can follow up with us directly on that. So I just want to start off on just showing a little bit for our United Healthcare Provider website. And so to be able to contract with us, you would just need to, if you have not received anything from us currently, go out to uhcprovider.com and you can get to the Indiana page from there. And then if you just scroll down about halfway through that page, you will see, once you click the Join Our Network, you will see Home and Community-Based Services. That one was just added recently to our provider website. And so once you click that, it will essentially take you to the next slide. And so, so I kind of pulled it in, and it's hard to read on that left-hand side, so I do apologize, but it's kind of how to start that first process. And it talks about what provider type you may be, but then it talks about what you need to get started and how you submit, what demographic information you need to submit to us. And you can submit that to the HCBS Provider Network at uhc.com, and just try to include all of the information on the bullet points on that right-hand side. So we can go to the next one. Then once you submit that to that inbox, it will you'll get a response quickly with that, whether it is clean or unclean, kind of if your provider type works for this contract request, things like that. And once you have that, you'll be given a unique ID, and then they will submit back to you the application. And so that'll go to the next slide. And so the application itself will come through Adobe Sign. And so I do want to recommend make sure you check your inbox, check your junk mail if by chance you haven't received anything within a couple of days on that, because we should be getting those out pretty quick to all providers. And so then the screenshot just shows some of the different things, and it's hard to see. It's pretty spelled out when it goes from box to box within Adobe Sign. And so it tends to make it pretty easy for providers to choose which information or which ones need to be completed. And then you'll complete that application and attest to that. So then if you want to go to the next slide, talk just a little bit about our communication. So from start to finish, you should have pretty consistent communication with United Healthcare. As I said, you'll get confirmation of the demographic form submission. You will also receive whether it's been determined clean or unclean by getting that unique ID if you have a clean submission of the demographic form. You will get a contractor who submits that clean form to Salesforce for verification, and then a HCBS advocate internally with our contracting team will review and outreach if something is needed, if additional information is needed, up to 4 times to try to get that information to keep your application moving forward. And so I just gave a checklist for some of the information, not all, that may be required through this process, whether it be liability insurance, license verification. I won't go on. You can read from that, but there's several different things there. And then we would send out a verification letter with approvals or denials for you as a provider. If approved, a contractor will create a contract and get that sent out also via Adobe Sign. Then after signing that, you will receive an email with the fully executed contract and a welcome letter with an effective date. So then to the next slide. We have a whole slew of training available out on uhcprovider.com. We will be pushing out more town hall style trainings, but for providers currently we have claim submission, different things with our portals. And so I do need to mention we will have an HCBS provider portal that will be going live next year, early next year. We're planning for January. And so if you're not yet contracted, we will follow, for the most part, the same documentation or same steps that Availity has used for Anthem and Humana, but it'll just be through a different platform. So it'll be through our own UHC HCBS portal. So I won't dive into the training too much because we will certainly hit heavy on that as we develop that relationship, because we do want to make sure you have a face with a name and continue working with us. So can go to the next slide. And so once you will be on our dashboard, I just want to show, once we do have you on our portal, kind of what it would look like. And so it will be kind of mapped along this line. And at the top, if you can see on the left, you can check eligibility. There's a spot for claims. There's prior authorization. there's a whole lot of information here for providers. And so there is a lot of use here. We will be rolling out different training for how to use the portal as well. So that you can always keep that in mind. And so we'll be outreaching to providers as well to make sure we get training needs met for you. So go to the next slide, please. And so here, I just want to, this I think might be our last one here for UHC, just some different contact information. And so I do want to mention, we do have Dorian Trice. She is our current HCBS provider advocate lead. So if you've currently emailed us to the in_providerservices@uhc.com email, you have probably received follow-up from Dorian, or your request for participation has been moved forward by Dorian. So she's been working with a lot of providers on that. It's got my director Amanda's information here as well, my information, and then additional resources at the bottom. So hopefully that covers just about everything. And I know there's a lot of questions, but hopefully that's enough time that we have time to still get some question and answer done today for the state.
Thank you, David. And I think we can go ahead and move to the next slide. All right. And Ashton is going to help us talk about what is next.
Perfect. My name is Ashton Driscoll. I am the LTSS Senior Provider Relations Specialist with FSSA. I just wanted to highlight our Facebook group that we have. I would encourage you all to join it. We post updates about upcoming webinars, as well as answer questions about pathways and share resources. It's called Indiana Pathways Provider Community, so please join. We just hit 700 members today. Upcoming webinars, we'll plan on doing these monthly, so you can look forward to more webinars to come. And these slides, as well as the recording of this webinar, will be posted online at in.gov/pathways. This will be underneath the stakeholder engagement tab. This is a great resource for you guys, as well as those FAQs that are updated on there as well. And if you have any future questions about pathways, please make sure to use our Back Home Indiana inbox. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it on to Darcy.
All right, next slide. All right, so we see that there are quite a few questions coming in for this particular presentation. And so we will gather those questions and make sure we get responses back to you. That may be through, right, a frequently asked questions, updated document posted on our website. I know we are running super close on time. I think we may have time for one question, and then any other questions that have come in about contracting, we will make sure to have those answers back to our providers. But I will go ahead and ask at least one question and then pass it over to our MCEs to answer quickly. So the first question we received from a provider: will there be an opportunity to receive one-on-one assistance with both the contracting process as well as learning to navigate the portal? Will each MCE ensure that each agency is trained sufficiently before going live? So I will go ahead, we can go in alphabetical order. Anthem, Humana, United, let you all answer that question.
I'll go. The quick answer is yes, yes, and yes. So there, and then we detailed, we all of our contact information is in this PowerPoint, and feel free to reach out for one-on-one training, step-by-step procedures for availability, our digital process, you name it, workshops, reach out.
Perfect. I don't know, Humana United, do you have anything else to add, or is Al the spokesperson for the group?
Yes, he is, Doris.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
He makes
Okay,
it
let's
easy.
try. Let's go one more question. I think we can get it in. What is the timeline on receiving contracts, and what is the best way to stay up to date on any provider applications that are moving through the enrollment process with your MCE?
For us, within the next 15 to 30 days, you'll receive an email if you have not already received it on the contracting process and the application process with the instructions on how to fill out the application.
And so for Humana, as I mentioned earlier, if I understand the question correctly, so once you submit the email to that LTSS contracting at Humana, you should receive a response with the next business day. And then it'll, then we'll start walking you through how to complete that assessment form as along with submitting your supporting documentation.
You're correct, Denise. It is a response within 24 hours, and we have a team of 7 contractors that will be reaching out to walk you through those forms.
Thank you, Terry.
And for United, if you have received if you've already requested a contract, like I said, you should hear something within, as it's been said, you should hear something within the next business day. And as you move through that application process, you should receive a unique ID for your application. And so if you want to follow up or check status, you can email that HCBS provider network at uhc.com email address to inquire about the status. And I just want to make a quick plug that in this during this call, we've already received 7 emails. So we see you, we appreciate you, and we love getting emails come in. So thank you all, and we look forward to more.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, being respectful of everyone's time, we are at the hour. And I want to thank all of the providers for joining the call. You continue to amaze me with your engagement and how we have just continued to build the growth of our MCE engagement sessions with providers. So thank you for taking time out of your day. Thank you, MCE partners. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad that our providers have a face to contact, and hopefully we will continue plugging away with contracting, and we will see you all in the new year for more topics. I hope you all have a very happy holiday. Take care.
Thank you, Darcy.
Bye.
Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.